Hello. You might have heard from the news that I was gonna make this video. But if you are a self-thinking person and you don't watch the news, then you didn't know about this video. And well surprised. What I'm gonna talk about this video, and this is the first time that I record myself rambling about um, is freedom. I was free to do this video. I was free to upload this video, and you were free to click this video and listen to me. I don't know why you would do that, but you did, and stay there. So, what I'm gonna talk about is how does freedom affect us, and how do we affect freedom if we affect freedom. What I believe to begin with is that freedom is something that we have been allowed to have in the quantity and in the shape, rather say it, that who allowed this freedom wanted it to be. What do I mean with that? Um, is that if you say are thinking about something and you start thinking that you should be doing surf, you should start surfing the ocean for some reason, and you start thinking that that's the way you want to live and that's the thing you want to base your life upon, then you're gonna start doing it if you are strong enough to follow your will. Though let's think about this thing. Surfing is inside the range of things that you have been given the freedom of. You will probably by now start thinking of something that you can do and you haven't been given the freedom of doing, but the way that freedom works is that we are only free to think about things that we've been allowed doing. So we cannot really realize that there is something that we cannot do, that we aren't free of doing, because it's not in our range of thoughts. And so what is this freedom? Basically, um, it's just a wide cage that includes everything you can ever think of. So don't take this as I'm saying it's bad. We'll get to that point. And I'm not gonna judge it anyway. Um, this is just to share some realizations that I've thought of. Um, so, back to the topic. If we cannot picture something that we are not free to do, we will be in the position of being free to do everything we want. And that's great. Where does the issue start? When you start thinking, so who decided this? Because there is this little thing I haven't mentioned yet that summed up is a very known concept, which is who decides what the the world should be like, who decides things. Like I think if you're still watching the video, you agreed so far. So you agree to the part where I was saying that we are free to do things we are allowed of. And who decided this range, this spectrum of things we are allowed of? That's a question I do not have the answer for. Because if I had, I would probably be dead already, and or be that person already. I'm not. I'm making a video and I'm uploading it on YouTube. So I clearly do not possess secret knowledge. I just want to share some thoughts, and that's all. So whoever decided this clearly was thinking about something and was thinking about what's best for mankind, perhaps, or what's best for them. Because now we walk onto the second topic um, inside freedom, and it is where's the line between the freedom we have and the freedom we could have. This line is given basically by the place we live in. I'm speaking in English, so I'm mostly understandable by Western bloc people. And with that I mean European people, American people, and some random people in the world who speaks English. Except for Anglo-Saxon countries and all of that. You get the point, right? Like colonialism. I'm not gonna start that topic. So, Western bloc. We may think that our world is how it is like anywhere. But the type of freedom that we have is different from the type of freedom that someone from another part of the world has, like, say, Arab person perhaps, or Southeastern Asian person. You know, every country, or rather say every culture, has its shape. And the range of things we are free of doing is kind of different. Not too much. Globalization is doing its dirty job, but still. So let's stick to our side of the world, the Western Bloc. Yes. Most of the countries, if not all the countries in the Western Bloc, are a straight democracy. And democracy is advertised to be the type of government that promotes freedom the most. And it's advertised to be that by itself. You don't see many uh, you don't see many countries that do not have a democracy saying that having a democracy is the greatest thing ever. And we do not tell the same about countries that do not have a democracy. We see them as somewhat countries that need our help. Um, we could put that all in brackets. So, back to the same topic as before. Who decides what? I've been thinking long and wide about anarchy. Um, I've been making a lot of ideas in my head on how could anarchy work. Why was it considered to be only working in utopistic, in yeah, utopistic, I think that's a word, situations. And my conclusion was that as long as there are men, and I mean humans, there cannot be a working form of government, nor there can be anarchy. So, why do I say that? Why am I so disillusioned? Well, because I was reading in a book, it was recently suggested by Max Stirner, a German philosopher. The Ego in Its Own is the name of the book, and it talks about how every person follows their um, every person works for themselves, as in um, we don't really have um, other interests than our own. And this is quite general. If you're interested, or if you don't agree with that, but if you're interested on the topic, you can go read the book. I highly suggest it. I repeat the name, The Ego in Its Own. And but given the fact that I agree with what was written in there, I will say what I think about it. And why do I think it's right? I believe it's right because most of us um, have an idea on how better the world will be, or rather say they have an idea on how the world should be. But this idea is given by the fact that they don't have power. So we think about what could be better because we are not the ones doing that. So we get this easier part of the job, which is thinking about how could it be better? How would we feel better about the world if something was this way instead of that way? But this is pretty pointless because we are not there to change the world. Not anymore, because I don't believe that a political revolution could work. Why don't I believe that? Is because the world right now, the Western world right now, is too well structured to contain and preserve the power. It's really hard to um, change it because it needs their approval to be changed. And this has been going on in every form of government ever. And why should someone let you change their why should someone let you take away power from them? Who's gonna let you do that? Who's gonna let us do that? No one. I wouldn't. So, mm, the second we start realizing how bad of a leader we would be with our best intentions, we start realizing that no one can actually be a good leader. And the second we start realizing this little thing, we might as well start realizing that it's quite pointless to worry about that, to worry about who's gonna be the leader, because it's anyway not gonna work. Mm, there's no such thing as a good leader for everyone. There can be a leader who does the best for the most of people, and that's democracy right there. Why is this democracy? Because say most of the people wants um, something. I cannot think of an example, I'm sorry. Um, most of the people want something, and there's this guy saying that he will give something if he gets elected. And there's all the background that makes it possible for him to be elected, but I'm not gonna talk about this here. So most of the people votes for that guy, and that guy is likely to make it happen. But likely or not, what he's doing is what most people want. Thing is, what is this thing that most people want? It's probably something that they have been freed of doing. They are free to want that. And if something is so easy to want, it means it's probably being fed as a necessity already. It's not really something that we are really needy of. We don't actually need something from politics, from politicians in general, because I believe we are pretty simple animals, and no one gets a family because of a politician, and no one gets a job because of a politician, and no one really gets, I don't know, I don't think a politician by its work has ever made someone, a random citizen, happy, or rather say it satisfied, accomplished, whatever. And the reason behind it is that they do not do what we are in need of. They do what they have been free, they have been allowed to do, and it's inside the same cage I was talking about earlier that freedom is. So it's all like a mix of things that stay and linger in this cage. They do not leave the cage, but this cage has an open door, and this open door is controlled. There is a strong petrol forces. There's a strong petrol force in the entrance of this door. Though sometimes things leak in. So I would say it's a rather stable cage, but it's not a locked cage. And that's why I still have that sort of hope towards the future. because we don't really know what's gonna happen. Okay, so I cut part of the last video because I got heavily sidetracked at the point. So I'm starting back from 20 minutes and I'm closing up the topic. The way I close up the topic is that is by saying that we have many different ways of not being free, and the reason I wanted to make this video was not to free us as it was not to give us all anarchy. um, it was just to share the idea of this cage and spread some sort of, or agree to some sort of awareness that we should be having. Just it I believe it I believe that awareness makes our lives way less miserable. And so being aware of the state of things and how this um, world is structured is just was the point of the video after all. And my last conclusions are that the way we can, I was saying that no political revolution could work. So the way we can live our lives aware, and in case we want to do a revolution, what we should aim for is social revolution, as in our um, how to call it, an aware revolution, something that is not gonna go and contrast the power, because that's something that is going to be stopped, but a rather aware flow, awareness flow that is going to definitely change the world at the long haul, but not as far, like not as fast as we could hope for. We might never see the results of the changes that are starting now. So, and possibly the ideas that we're having, because I, I started recording this video, but I'm definitely not the only one who has this idea. I've been talking to a lot of people, and I decided to make it a video just because they were saying that basically no one thinks that way. Well, I'm sure that actually not gonna say most of the people, but I'm gonna say that many people our age think this way. So I felt pretty legitimated into doing this video. And so being aware of this cage will allow us to cross the concept of this cage at the point our kids, our grandkids, they I am not given to know how fast this is gonna go, but starting being aware of that is definitely the only way we can start from. And if if anyone has an idea on how to continue from being aware, they should feel in they should feel it as their duty to do it. And I'm personally doing already. I'm changing the world the way I would. I'm changing my world the way I am allowed to be free of wanting it to change. But the biggest change is that I'm aware of that. And however you are changing your life like, you should be aware that you have been pre-decided into a spectrum of things that you can decide how it is going to be like. And you just need to know this, and slowly things will keep improving. And last thing that I thought about on this topic is that one possible way that I see this is just this is a pure opinion, a plain opinion of mine. The way that the world is close to change is that economy has become way more important than politics. So who holds the power holds the economical power. And this at the point might lead to politics being left to the population, and all we will have to worry about is keeping them wealthy, and we can decide the rest for our own. It's been like that with arts, for example. At the point we've been given the freedom of making arts the way we wanted, while back then the only art that was famous, for example, in the Middle Age, was arts that were about religion. And I'm always talking about Western world, or in this case, Christian world. So catch the hope with your mind radio and stay tuned.